going on, guys? Nick here again with a new book review, and today we are going to be talking about Revival by Stephen King. Honestly shocked this is my first King review, as it is my favorite author by a landslide. I read more of his works than anybody else by a mile. So a lot more of those are going to be on the way, but in any case, I just finished this yesterday, so it's pretty fresh on my mind. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't see it leaving top 5 territory for me. So maybe it'll fall a little bit further, but this again immediately shot up to a top 5 Stephen King read for me. And so if you're interested or you like classic horror, this book is going to be right down your alley. Nods to H.P. Lovecraft in here, Ray Bradbury, Frankenstein. I mean, this was absolutely a thrill ride of a novel for me. I fell in love with the main character and really the plot as well. So I'm gonna try not to spoil anything. Everything that I review is gonna be spoiler free, because I hate it whenever I watch a review myself and then I lose interest because there's just too much of it spilled out. But in any case, we'll start with kind of what the book's about, give you a general overview. So this book follows the main character of Jamie Morton. Lives in a small town, has a relatively big family, and it starts with him being 6 years old, and it really follows his entire life. It's about a 400-page book, takes you from him being 6 years old all the way up to his late 50s. So the way that it starts, though, he's a 6-year-old kid. A new minister moves into town named Charles Jacobs, and he's young, has a lot of charisma, kind of a fun guy. A lot of people like him. And he is also obsessed with electricity and the science of it and a whole ton of stuff. He does a lot of cool little things, and he kind of takes to Jamie right in the beginning of the book. You can tell that's like his favorite of Jamie's family, and he's one of, I believe, 4 or 5 kids. And he just has a really good connection with Jamie right out of the gate. Shows him some cool stuff that he's done with electricity and cool little like toys and stuff like that also have to do with religion. And he uses that to kind of teach some of his classes in the book. So it's kind of his fun way to bring like a little science project into religion, if you will. But long story short, Charles, that's his name, the minister, he suffers from a tragedy pretty early on in the book. And I don't want to spoil what that is for you, but it is cataclysmic. I mean, it's life altering immediately. And so once that happens, he delivers, within that same chapter, maybe 1 to 2 weeks later. They give him a brief hiatus from work, from the church, but he delivers what they call the terrible sermon. That's what it is. And basically comes in and he loses faith once this happens. So again, a massive life-changing event. He loses faith in, religion, God, what have you. And he basically gets up there and talks about how faith and religion is a scam. And pretty quickly people are walking out of this sermon. People are standing up saying things. And of course he gets fired. And it resonates with Jamie, though. For some reason, even though he knows what's going on is pretty terrible, he knows that the people there, even at that young of an age, aren't going to receive this very well. It kind of makes him question faith himself, because he looks up to Charlie in there at that time frame. And in any case, Charles leaves town, and Jamie doesn't see him for many, many years. But what you'll find out throughout the book is they kind of keep crossing paths over and over. And in any case, Jamie takes to music a little bit different than a lot of his other siblings, but finds out he loves to play the guitar. As he's growing up, gets in a band, and unfortunately runs into a drug problem. And next thing you know, he crosses paths with Charles again later on. This time he is a carny. So he's working on a carnival, and he's using his electricity and his obsession with that to not only put on a show for people, but kind of use them as guinea pigs, if you will. And it's kind of all for this overhanging science project, if you will, without spoiling anything for you guys. And so this book, again, follows the journey of Jamie's life through drug addiction, questioning faith, grief, and really just all of the events of his life in between. So it's a really great character study is a good way to put it. But this was a heavier book. A lot of the themes in this book are not necessarily going to be for everybody, but it resonated with me. I absolutely loved the main character in this book. Again, I loved the plot of this book. It was really easy for me to get into right out of the gate. Like a lot of Stephen King books, I don't find that Stephen King books really start slow ever or are ever that slow, because if you're somebody who loves to read about characters, he's probably the best at that. To me, ever. I know that's not going to be the same opinion as everybody else, but he is absolutely brilliant when it comes to developing characters. I mean, I kind of related to, and my wife, she loves Grey's Anatomy, and it's that show. It's like every show is the same with a little bit different of a plot line, but it's all the same. Why do you like it so much, and why do you watch it religiously? Because you love the characters. So it could be about anything, as long as that character's in it, you're going to have a fun ride. And so that's for people that love character work. If you haven't already read Stephen King, which I'm sure most people have, pick it up. I mean, again, if you love characters, he does it better than just about anybody out there. And so anyways, I'm trying not to spoil too much for you guys, but the book really is about just following Jamie, him crossing paths with Reverend Jacobs, how Reverend Jacobs changes. He never really seems to get back on track with his faith, but this crazy experiment with electricity, and it's an obsession with also trying to see what's on the other side of life. Okay, what's after this? And he takes extreme measures, not only with himself, but with other and innocent people, to explore that. And so, again, very dark. This has an insane ending. It's very bleak. Kind of reminded me of Pet Sematary, the way I felt when it was done, just gutted. But absolutely reminds me of his earlier work. So it's back to form, if you will. For people that just love early King, you're probably going to like Revival. And just people that like classic horror in general, probably going to like this book. Again, darker themes, but if you're into that sort of thing, it is absolutely riveting. And so anyways, that's as much as I'm going to give you guys. I don't want to spoil anything, like I said, and I know that's really vague, but you could find all this stuff out just reading the synopsis. But in any case, we'll move on to kind of what my thoughts, and if I liked the book. I absolutely loved the book. This is a 5-star read for me. And I'm going to rank that on Goodreads as soon as I get done with this as well. But, Jamie as a character, like I said, I fell in love with that character. The struggles that he has with addiction, his love for music. He's very relatable as well, because he's not like just brilliant at everything, right? He's such a relatable character. He's the everyman, if you will. He's a musician throughout his entire life, and he finds a way to make a living doing that without trying to make a fortune. Just wants to kind of be happy, if you will. And that is pretty much it on what the story's about. But when I got to the ending of this one, I thought I could kind of muster up what was going to happen at that point. This is one of those books where, like, he gives you a little bit and it keeps you guessing throughout the entire thing. And finally, we're going to unveil like what this is all really about. And all the way up to the final act, if you will. I was guessing throughout the entire thing, but by the time we got to the final act, I thought maybe I could guess what was going to happen here. And I was way off. I mean, he went sci-fi extreme, supernatural extreme, just really heavy stuff to end this book. I mean, I want to start The Dark Half. That's the next one I've got on the list. And I don't feel like I can start another book right now, because this one is just heavy on my mind still. I have a book hangover from hell from this one. And this is definitely going to be a book that I'll reread as well. Pretty quick. This is only 400 pages. And so I finished it in just a few days, maybe 4 days or so. So quick read, easy to get into, fast pace as well. I never felt like any part of this book was slow. And absolutely a recommend for me. So is it for you? Again, if you like character work, I don't see how you couldn't like Stephen King books. If you're not into horror, you might want to stay away from this one. I wouldn't call this just a straight horror novel. A lot like, other King books, or maybe even all of them, the horror in the book isn't, this isn't like an It where you have a big scary monster in it. This is horrific events that happen to regular people, and that's really what makes it so scary and so bleak. But again, it is heavier. I mean, there was stuff in this book that made me have goosebumps reading it. I mean, and that's what I look for with King. It's the ride that I'm looking for. I want to be scared. I want it to make me feel a certain way and have, emotional connection to it. And this was no different. And so in any case, that's about it for me, guys. Absolutely would recommend this one. Let me know in the comments below if you've read it before. I'd love to hear your take on it. I feel like it has a pretty positive reception by most King fans. Again, the ending is not for everybody, but find out for yourself. Reading is subjective, and so I wouldn't listen to anybody else's reviews and decide whether or not you're going to read it based off the ending. I would say it's probably 70-30, 60-40 on people's opinions on the ending, but I thought he stuck it pretty well. It was, out of this world, but that's what we like King for. So in any case, very positive review, 5 out of 5 stars. Again, a top 5 for me at this point. Maybe that can change. I absolutely don't see it leaving the top 10. But anyways, that is Revival by Stephen King. And I'll have another one on its way in the next week or so. I'm going to do Jade Legacy, which I finished a few weeks ago. I just been busy at a new job and I haven't been able to get too much up. But in any case, I'll have that. And then I'll also have a review on either The Dead Zone or The Dark Half. I'll decide once I finish that one. But in any case, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, leave comments in the comments below and let me know what you guys thought about it. If you've read it, if you're planning on read it, if you just have questions on whether or not you might like it. So in any case, hopefully you guys are doing well, and I'll see you later.